Knock on the Saints' door. Quarterback sneak by Tom Brady to the 43-year-old score. He did. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. Now spike that ball, Tom Brady. Who says I'm 43? He runs right up the gut and scores 6. 7. Handoff, run the ball. Fournette slashes away to the 40, to the 35, to the 30, to the 30, 25, to the 20. Fournette to the 10, 5, 3, 2, 1. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. Run the ball, Leonard Fournette. Wow, what a blast up the gut, found daylight, and outran everybody. Fire the cannons, get them going. Bucs win. Bucs win, Bucs win. Fire them cannons.
First snap in Vikings territory for Tampa Bay. Brady all day. Downfield. Touchdown, Scott Miller. Four-man rush. Brady airing it out, going deep. He's got it to Antonio Brown. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. Ronald Jones will get it. Big hole. Jones gets by. Ronald Jones may go all the way. Being chased from behind. Does Jones have enough? Still on his feet. Ronald Jones, 98-yard touchdown.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Swords Up Podcast, and today we're going to be talking about our divisional round game against the Saints, our third matchup of the season against them. Obviously, we were swept by them in the first two games, so we'll be looking to win the all-important game number 3 against them, the one that really matters, and I think everyone's really excited for this game. This is probably one of the most highly anticipated games in franchise history, and I'm really excited for this one as well. And so today we're going to be talking about the matchup as well as the key players and giving a prediction at the end of it. But first, starting out with the injury and the roster news for this game, and starting out on the Buccaneer side of things, unfortunately we did not get very good news this week from the health of Alex Kappa, our starting right guard, as he ended up fracturing his ankle in the Washington game, ended up leaving the game in the second half, did not return, and so he was placed on injured reserve as of the day I'm recording this, meaning obviously he's going to be out for this game and the rest of the playoffs. Obviously that's a pretty big loss for us, and with this move and with a spot on the active roster being opened up, we signed Earl Watford, who was on the roster last year and actually started a few games for Alex Kappa when he was dealing with a neck injury last season at right guard, and so he's going to be backing up Aaron Stinney, who will be making his first NFL start in this game. Also confirmed out for the Bucs is Jeremiah Ledbetter, dealing with a calf injury, one of our backup defensive linemen. Questionable coming into this game is going to be safety Andrew Adams. Ronald Jones dealing with various injuries, including that fractured finger that he had, also a calf injury and a quad injury. Questionable coming into this one. And Bruce Arians said that with the various injuries that Ronald Jones is dealing with, and coming off of Leonard Fournette's really strong and impressive performance last week, that Fournette's going to be the starter at running back coming into this game, and that Ronald Jones will be a game-time decision, so we'll see if he's able to play or not. If he's not able to play, it'll probably be LaShawn McCoy returning for this game as the backup running back. Also questionable coming into this game is our starting strong safety, Jordan Whitehead, dealing with a knee injury. And for the Saints, the only player confirmed out for them is corner Patrick Robinson, dealing with a hamstring injury, but they do have a pretty key piece listed questionable, and that's Taysom Hill with a knee injury. He is their do-it-all special weapon, can play pretty much any skill position on the offense, running back, wide receiver, and tight end, and also he's listed as a quarterback, and as we saw with him starting for Drew Brees in those 4 games that he missed, that he can do some pretty good things at the quarterback position as well. Also questionable coming into this game is going to be the backup running back Latavius Murray, dealing with a quad injury. Also, I did want to point out that Devin White was activated from the COVID list earlier this week, and so he'll be back for this game. But unfortunately, Kevin Minter, who did start in the 2 games that Devin White missed, was placed on the COVID list, so he'll most likely be out for this one, and so it looks like it's going to be Jack Cichy backing up Levante David and Devin White this week. Alright, so with the injury and roster news out of the way, let's now get into the key players for this game. And starting out with the Saints, it's going to be pretty much their breakout player of the year on the defensive side of the ball, and that's going to be Trey Hendrickson, who's really come on this year as being one of the best pass rushers in the league, and he has been the Saints' best pass rusher this season. And looking at his 2020 season, as he's really broken out this year, he finished with 25 total tackles, 12 for a loss, 13.5 sacks, which tied him for second in the league, with Aaron Donald and only behind TJ Watt, 25 QB hits, 1 pass defended and 1 forced fumble. And I'll be keeping an eye on his matchup with left tackle Donovan Smith, as in the first 2 games, he really dominated that battle with the left side of our offensive line. And him and Cameron Jordan really form one of the best defensive end duos in the league, and they're very dangerous. And so, like I said, with the Washington game, the Saints have a really good front four, and if this front four can get pressure onto Brady, I think that could really determine the course of this game. So that's going to be a key matchup to watch with Trey Hendrickson and the rest of the Saints D-line, and seeing if they can get pressure on Brady in this one. Now looking at the Bucs side of things, and I think we should all be very grateful that we have Devin White coming back for this one, as I think he's going to be a very important piece, and so that's why I'm going to be highlighting him as our key player for this game. Like I've mentioned in the past with him and Levante David, I think that they're not only very important in the pass game, but also key in the run game. And the Saints' specialty really on offense, I know they have been trying to diversify away from this in the past few weeks, but what they're best at doing is running the ball and generating their passing game off of short pass plays and run after the catch. And so it's going to be pretty key for our linebackers to really stop that part of the Saints' offensive attack. And so that's why I think Devin White's going to be a key part in that, as he is not only a key contributor in the pass game, but he's also a key contributor in the backfield. And looking at his 2020 season, he had 140 total tackles, which almost placed him in the top 5, and I think he could have gotten there if he had played the last game of the season, if he weren't on the COVID list. And of those 140 tackles, he had 15 for a loss, 9 sacks, 16 QB hits, which is very good pass rush production from a middle linebacker. 4 passes defended, 1 forced fumble, and 1 fumble recovery. I think a big key in this one is our defense is going to have to be able to step up on both facets, and I think if we can do that, that's going to keep us in the game. Obviously, I mentioned that in the past few games with the Saints. And so I just think that we have to get a few stops. I don't think we necessarily have to dominate the game defensively for us to win in this one with how hot our offense has been. But they are going to have to make a few stops in this one, and I see our linebackers being very key in doing their part to do that. All right, and obviously going into this game, this is really being hyped up as the third matchup of the season between Tom Brady and Drew Brees. And really, this is probably going to be most likely the last meeting between these two QBs. And so this is going to be a fun one to watch. And with Drew Brees possibly retiring after the season, we'll see if this is his final game or not if the Saints don't end up winning this one. But I obviously did want to do a quarterback comparison for these two heading into this game. Although Brees has missed the 4 games due to injury, I still want to look at the stats for both QBs on the season. And so let's start with Brees. Like I said, he missed 4 games due to injury, and that was with those many fractured ribs that he was suffering. Was really trying to play through it, but then kind of aggravated them in the 49ers game when he took a big hit from Kentavious Street and ended up being injured in the middle of the game. Did not come back for the second half. It was Jameis Winston who finished the game, and from then on, Taysom Hill would go on to start those 4 games. But looking at his stats from the 12 games that he played, he had 275 completions on 390 attempts, giving him a 70.5 completion percentage for 2,942 yards, 24 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and a quarterback rating of 106.4. And I really noticed at the beginning of the season how it seemed like the level at which Drew Brees was playing had really steeply declined, and I think I had thoughts that he was really aging, and I think a lot of people thought that as well. He was not throwing the ball down the field at all. There was a point early in the season where I thought, is he just not able to throw the ball deep down the field at all? And I think that really speaks to how they missed Michael Thomas in that facet of the game. But I think they've been airing it out more and more as the season has progressed. And I think Drew Brees has shown that he's still got a lot left in the tank, even if he were to step away and retire following this postseason. And so now we look at Brady. And with that being said, I think it's pretty obvious that Brady is playing at a higher level right now. Even though these are both really great QBs, I think it's clear that Brady is the better QB right now. And I think that Brady, even though Brees still has something left to show and still probably has elite level play left in him, I think it's just more impressive to see how Brady has done in his first season as a Buccaneer and how he's picked up the offense. And while it seemed like he would struggle this season early on, as he did, he's really picked it up in the latter part of the season. And I think he's playing like a top 5 QB right now. And so looking at the 2020 season he had, which I would consider to be probably the best season by a Buccaneer quarterback in franchise history, that's definitely up for debate, but that's just my opinion. And so looking at it, he had 401 completions on 610 attempts, giving him a 65.7% completion percentage for 4,633 yards, 40 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, and a quarterback rating of 102.2. And with how hot he has been coming into the postseason, I just think that that's going to be a really key factor in determining the outcome of this game. If he plays like he has been lately, I think we have just enough to give us the edge in this one. But if he plays like he did in the first 2 matchups, I think that we have no chance right now, considering how the Saints offense really has all of their best players coming back for this one and how they'll be looking to avoid the playoff heartbreak they've had for the past 3 years, which does lead me into my prediction. And with that being said, I think that this will be a very, very close game. It could go either way. Honestly, it could just be down to whoever has the ball last. And maybe that happens for the Bucs, maybe it happens for the Saints, but just with the way the Saints have had these playoff heartbreaks for 3 straight years, what makes you think it's going to stop? I mean, seriously, this team can't catch a break. As much as I take enjoyment into saying that, you got to feel bad for them somewhat. But, this is our time to have a shot at knocking out the Saints. And I think we'll be able to do it if our defense can make a key stop in the fourth quarter and Brady gets the ball back and maybe leads us down the field for a game-winning field goal, which I probably see happening in this one. And I think the Buccaneers have the slight edge in this one, although the Saints dominated us in the first 2 matchups. It just seems like the Buccaneers will be very hungry for revenge in this one. And with how Tom Brady has been playing lately and with the postseason magic that we've seen him have over the years, I think the Buccaneers are going to find a way to pull this one out. And I'll say it'll be by a final score of 34-31. This will be really close. It's going to be interesting to see, but I just think the Buccaneers are going to have it in them to have the slight edge in this one. And really, if the Buccaneers do win this one, it could spell the end for the Saints' run at the top of the NFC South. Really, as long as Brees stays with us and if Drew Brees ends up retiring, maybe this is the game in which the Buccaneers take control of the NFC South for the next couple of years. All right, so that's going to be it for the preview of this divisional round game. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. This is going to be a pretty big weekend for the Bucs. I'm really excited for this one. Hopefully this is a really great game because it has all the hype in the world coming into this one. Of all the really great divisional round games this weekend, this is probably the best of the bunch. And so we'll see if the Buccaneers can make it back to the conference championship game. We all know what happened last time the Buccaneers made it to an NFC Championship game. And so hopefully we'll be able to replicate that run at the end of the 2002 season, which eventually led to us winning our first Super Bowl in franchise history. But that's going to be it for this one. Thank you guys for watching, and go Bucs.